Okay, now we have Ken Gwen, who is our software engineer from Multimedia Front-End at TikTok. Ken will introduce TikTok Embed Player, a versatile tool that allows developers to seamlessly integrate TikTok content in their own applications and websites. So let me help welcome Ken on the stage.
Thank you, Vinny. Cool. So today now we're gonna switch gears a little bit to something that you can actually implement today. So yeah, brief overview. My name is Kang. I'm a software engineer on the multimedia front-end team. So we do a whole sorts of internal platforms and also external-facing one, like TikTok iframe player. So gonna do a quick intro, if the slide moves, into what is iframe player. Cool. So yeah, iframe player, TikTok iframe player specifically, is a player that can be hosted inside an iframe, so an inline frame. Quick refresher, iframe is an HTML element that you can use to host documents or websites that are from different origins, or even like the same origin if you want to. So our customizable video player offers URL query parameters that you can use to customize the UI, the layout, and you can also programmatically send messages through HTML messaging in order to control this iframe player. So I'm gonna go deeper into that later, but here's an example of what they would look like. So on the right, you can see that a recipe website is currently using an iframe player to play a TikTok video that's already been posted on TikTok. They can use it to supplement their recipe website. And on the right, you can see that we also support image posts. So for example, sport news articles, they can use that to embed trending posts that are happening in the sporting community, and they can include that in their article also. So yeah, what are the benefits of using TikTok iframe player in your website? So first is for the users. We offer faster playback because TikTok has servers and CDNs everywhere. Your users around the globe will have fast download speed to whichever server is nearest to them. Next up is good user experience. So we designed the player so that it matches the current experience on TikTok.com and also the TikTok mobile app. So the UX will remain the same for a user going from the iframe to the TikTok web. It also allows users to interact with the player inside your app itself, so they will need to be redirected into TikTok web or TikTok app. Next up is device compatibility. So an iframe is pretty universal. Most browsers support it, and we also support mobile versus desktop. Different UI depends on device that you're using, that your users are using. So you need to modify your code to, for example, adapt to their user's device. Next up is what benefits are you as developers are getting from using a TikTok iframe. So first, fast implementation. As I'll show later on, you can do this in like under a minute. And since TikTok is handling all the media hosting and serving, so there's no need for media storage from your side. And lastly is the latest updates. So if we ever decide to release more features to the iframe player, as we recently did release closed caption to the iframe player, your iframe player will receive those latest features immediately. There's no need for any changes from your end. So next up, who are the current users of the iframe player? So as you can see, one types of apps that are using is social and messaging app. So in the picture up there, you can see that our own internal chat, Lark, are using TikTok iframe so that users can see the videos right inside their chat. So if we send links to each other, like TikTok links to each other, there will be a preview displayed right here. And that preview is actually an iframe player. So you can click on it and play it right in the app. Next up is search engine. So a lot of search engines out there are using iframe player to show results of videos. So for example, Bing are showing iframe player as results for their video search, and also Yahoo is doing the same. And the final category is retail websites. So all the e-commerce websites, they have their own professionally created content that they posted on TikTok, which they can showcase on their websites. But in addition to that, there will be reviewers, influencers that review the products, and they can showcase those reviews on their websites also. So as you can see, this is I think, electronics website that are displaying a bunch of reviews from different influencers out there. Cool, so I'm gonna move to the next section, which is how do we embed these iframe in our application. Excuse me. Yeah, as you can see, it's very simple. There are just 2 steps to this. First, you can go to tiktok.com and find your favorite video, the video that you need to embed. It will come in the form of tiktok.com/the handle/video or image and /the post ID. So this long number is the thing that you need from the URL. And then you can attach that to the prefix www.tiktok.com/player/v1. I know it's a handful, but it's pretty easy to remember afterwards. And yeah, you can use an iframe HTML element, and you can put that whole URL inside your source. As you can see, now it's .com/player_v1, and then the number that I found earlier, and automatically that will show up in your website as a video player. Nice. Now that your video is embedded, how do you customize the UI so that it matches your need? So here is a normal link without anything else. So this will be rendered as the picture above. As you can see, it shows all the controls. Users can interact with it. But if you want, for example, a cleaner look, you can add parameters to it to remove the UI that you don't need. For example, controls = 0, which is false, which is disabling the controls. Same for timestamp. Then you will get a cleaner look like this without any progress bar, timestamp, and so on. Same for image posts. Here's a default UI of an image post. There's also a navigation button that user can use to scroll through the images. But then we can also include more information if we want. For example, music info and description. So if the post has some description, has some caption, or has some music embedded into it, and you want to show the attribution, then you can also enable it by using music info = 1 and description = 1. So here's a short list of the options that we're offering. You can see that controls, full screen button, loop. It's like the UI buttons that you normally see on the UI, but we're also offering more functional options such as loop or autoplay. And the full extensive list, you can see that on our documentation page at developers.tiktok.com. Yeah, so with those 3 steps, we already have a working video player with a customized UI that fits your need. Next up is how do you control that player from your code? The users can interact with it, but what if you want to extend the features a little bit and control the player from your code? You can do that through post message. So here's a diagram showcase what is going on with the iframe. So as you can see, the parent window will be your app, and your app has embedded this iframe into it. This iframe on startup will send a request for that certain item ID to our TikTok server. Our TikTok server will send back all the information related to that post. Also, a link that user can use to download or stream video and images from our CDN. So that happens on the backend side. And if you want to control it, everything will be happen on the client side. As you can see on the left side, there are two types of messages going into the iframe. We call that host to player messages. So those are the commands that you will be sending to the iframe in order to control it. For example, you can tell it to play, pause, mute, change volume. And the next type of messages are the one being sent from iframe back to your parent window. So those are usually the events that are happening in the iframe, such as the player is muted, the iframe has ended, the video has ended, sorry. The video has been played, it's buffering, and all those types of events are being sent out. So how can you listen to those events, and how do you send those messages to the player? So I think it's pretty small, but I'm gonna walk through like how we can accomplish that. So first, we can listen to the messages sent from the iframe through the add event listener. So we add a listener to our window, which is just our browser, and we can listen to the message event. And in that message event, there will be origin and a data structure. So origin is just where that message is coming from. In this case, it's coming from www.tiktok.com. So just make sure to check the origin is from tiktok.com. Otherwise, there might be malicious origins trying to send message to your application. After that, you can check the data, see what type of data that are being sent back. In this example, I'm just trying to log if the video has ended or not. So I'm gonna look for the data type being on-state change and the data value being 0. So there will be a documentation page with all the events and what the value means in each type of event. The next type of messages is the message we send from our application to the iframe player. So here, I'm just trying to implement a seek-to function. So yeah, I want the video player to jump to a specific timestamp. So I can accomplish that by calling post message. So post message is a browser API that you can use to do cross-origin communication between iframe and the host. So if we use post message with the type seek-to and the value being the number of seconds that we want to jump to, and the X TikTok player equals true is just a flag to make sure that the post message is being sent. The message is regarding the iframe player and not some other TikTok products. So once we have all those three values, you can send that message to the iframe player. And when I run seek-to 60, it will skip to the 1 minute mark. So yeah, with all that in mind, we can do a quick, but first, let me walk through all the events that we're offering. So the message to iframe player are the events that you would usually see the user interact. So they would like press play, press pause, or like seek to a certain timestamp. But you can also control that through post message. The next type are the messages from iframe player to host. So you can see that there are a bunch of events that are related to state changes of the video in terms of player ready, in terms of the timestamp, in terms of it's being played or paused or stopped, etc. So there will be a full list of events on our documentation page also. Nice. Next up, we're going to do a quick demo just to see how we can put all of these steps together and create a working website. So Yeah, who here likes to cook? Nice. And who here get recipes from TikTok? Okay, there's a few. TikTok has very good recipes. So I want to create a website that collects all the recipes that I found on TikTok. So you can see that I made a small page for garlic butter recipe. But speed try, there's ingredients, recipe steps, and now that I've found that that TikTok video before, I want to use that in my website. So what I can do is to utilize the 4 steps that we mentioned earlier, find the post ID, embed it in an iframe, change the UI, and then we can message the player. So once I've found the TikTok video again, I can quickly grab its post ID, as you can see, pretty small up there, and use it in my code. So it's pretty small, but what I'm trying to accomplish here is to make a section in my code and then embed that iframe player. So yes, bear with me. Just making a section right now. And here comes the iframe. Yes, once we found the post ID, we can append that to the prefix tiktok.com/player/v1. And you can see that in a short minute, the iframe player should show up in my demo app. Boom. And yeah, that's how easy it is to embed a iframe player in your website. And you can interact with it, scroll, and pause with it also. Nice. But we can also improve the user experience by also adding timestamp. So for each of the recipe steps, I also have a timestamp in the video to show how this step is being done. But right now, nothing happens because it's just a timestamp, and I don't want the users to manually seek to the player to move to that timestamp. So what I can do is to utilize the seek to function that we have seen earlier. So just a reminder that seek to function send a post message of type seek to our iframe player, and then our iframe player can detect those messages and jump to the correct timestamp based on our code. So here I'm just implement that seek to function, and for each of the recipe steps, I already have a timestamp in the video. So once I finish implement that, I can just use that in the buttons, and that will enable the ability to jump inside the video player. So yeah, I'm still coding some last pieces. Cool. Once that is done, the final step is to add seek to our small timestamp buttons down there. And voila, it should work. So now whenever the user clicks on the timestamp, they will be jumped to the correct timestamp in the video. So this is just one way that you can use post message to kind of like enhance the TikTok iframe players that you have embedded in your app. Cool. So just quick summary. It's very easy to embed iframe player in your next applications or websites. Just need to find the post ID, use it in an iframe, change the player UI according to your likings, and finally extend it by adding some messaging if you need to. But otherwise, the first 3 steps would just work fine. And that concludes the presentation on iframe player today. I encourage you guys to check out developers.tiktok.com and navigate to Embed Player. That will have an extensive documentation we have, and you can easily use it in your next websites or apps. So yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.